Dr. Vladimir Antwi-Danso, who is a highly experienced researcher and a consultant to many international organizations in the fields of regional economic cooperations and integration, as well as international finance and trade. He has authored several conference papers, monographs, and articles in scholarly journals. He was for many years a lecturer at the Legon Center for International Affairs and Diplomacy, where he taught graduate courses in regional integration, trade, and international finance. He has recently been appointed the Dean of Academic Affairs at the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, where he teaches graduate courses on terrorism and counter-terrorism. Dr. Antwi-Danso has also served or still serves as a resource person for courses on regional integration. We are grateful to have him here, and I respectfully invite Dr. Antwi-Danso to give us a statement.
Thank you very much. I think I would like to just stand on the protocol already established by my predecessor speakers to acknowledge the presence of all those on the high table and Your Excellencies, distinguished persons also down here, and to express gratitude like my big brother has expressed to the mission for inviting me to this very important gathering. Two things I would like to preamble my short intervention with. The first one is an anecdote or a joke, which is true anyway. When we were in the training college, I have no classmate in any secondary school. I went to the teacher training college. We had a young man, an Ahmadi young student, who always would do everything possible to attend the Ahmadi conferences. That was a local conference, and he would do everything, tell whatever lies it would take for him to get a visa to attend. When he returns, we teased him and we asked him, what the hell is there in the conference? And he shared very good jokes. He would say, it is at the conference that the angels of God come to make choices, pick the people for heaven. So young as I was, I took it serious. I thought at every conference, the angels of God come around. So maybe I'm blessed today to be at this conference. Who knows? One angel may pick me. The second is, normally I'm not comfortable when I'm introduced and the audience is told I teach terrorism. I was introduced in Canada, Queensland University. What the white man fears is the word terrorism. And I'm introduced as a professor. When you say professor, you say professor of a certain discipline. So as I was introduced as a professor of terrorism, I could sense the feeling of the audience. So I had to debunk that and let them know in the preamble that I teach something about terrorists and terrorism. I don't teach terrorism. Thank you very much. Questions of peace, justice, stability, and progress are questions that are very difficult to unravel, especially where policy is concerned. The Most Reverend told us Ghana is doing well in the Peace Index. Yes, we are doing well. But the ingredients for chaos are always present when you are doing well. The way I teach, I always scare my students on the first day. And I know I see some of them over here. Some of them even in uniform. You can't believe that I scared the soldiers. And I do that to let you know that what is coming ahead is more difficult. So brace yourself for the wind. And I'm going to do the same today with my short intervention, just 10 minutes. And I pick a small note I found in the special message to start it all. And I quote, "It is no exaggeration to say that with each day that passes, the risks to civilization are increasing." That's very true. And you would realize that the risks in the world are real. 2017, the Most Reverend talked about maybe the governance systems in various countries and those things that make for peace or for instability. I'll talk about the international systemic order because that is the genesis of the whole thing. It is that order that gives you the policy space to say A or B, to do A or B. Even policies about how you govern in terms of democracy, how you govern in terms of prudence in economic governance and things like that. So the international system is the most guilty of all the problems we are having in this world. Last year, 2017, statistics have it that $14.3 trillion, $14.3 trillion was spent on wars and peace. I wouldn't put it that way. As a researcher, I would say $14.3 trillion was spent looking for peace and justice. And that is about twice and more of the American economy. 2 times the size of the American economy was used looking for peace in the world. Now ask yourself, how did it come about? It came about because throughout history, at every tipping point, for solutions to peace. So all the treaties we have had in the past, in 1648, we had one of the first treaties to create the Westphalian system. That is the order that we have now, Ghana, Togo, whatever it is, came from the 1648 order. Then on and on and on, the First World War came, and the Wilsonian 14 principles created a condition for the League of Nations. All these things, we trying to build a system of live and let live. But the Americans walked out of the League, even though they sponsored it. Then came the First World War, the Second World War. Again, we created the United Nations system to make it possible for the system to bring peace. If you look at the preamble of the UN Charter, so that succeeding generations does not suffer the scourge of war. So we created all these systems. But the various nations that created the system are the very nations which are undermining the system. So Trump tells you, I don't like globalism. I like patriotism. UN, if you like, get away from here. UNESCO, I won't give you money. So what we are experiencing in the world is a kind of geopolitical lenses creating chaos where they would want to create chaos away from themselves. So the international systemic order is sick, and we need to look at how we can make it work. I don't have a solution, but it is time that the big powers started behaving, because it is their misbehavior. For example, all that we are seeing about terrorism, which they call it Islamic jihadism, is because somebody stirred the hornet's nest. Iraq was the beginning of global terrorism. And let me tell you, the 21st century is going to be a century of terrorism. Samuel Huntington has said that it is a clash of civilizations. We agree. If you bring your system and you say, plant it, maybe I'm going to stir some nerves. For example, when Cameron told us that if you don't add gay laws into your whatever it is, we won't give you any loans or whatever. Excuse me, it doesn't make sense. What you're doing is that you are creating a certain clash of civilizations. So going to Iraq to so-called democratize Iraq, regime change, means that you are creating a vacuum, and it's in that vacuum that ISIS was born. So ISIS was a creation of America and the West, and we are all suffering from it. And they say Islamic jihadism. Islam, by definition, is peace. So it is not Islam which is creating anything. But those who think Islam is a tool, and if you ask the soldiers, all tools in the tools box are used when you are at war. So those who want to fight the West and their civilization are also trying to use Islam to fight. It doesn't mean it is Islam. In conclusion, what I would say is that the way forward lies in international normative ethic, in which what is good for the goose is good for the gander, brewed in their own local and socio-historical relativities. So if gayism is a priority in America, maybe food is what is a priority for Ghana. Then we should all now have to lay emphasis on human security, because in human security, if I have my food, my security is assured, I have schools, hospitals, housing, all those human needs, I'm assured in Ghana, 27-30 million. Cote d'Ivoire, they are assured of this. The aggregation of human security in all countries is the aggregation of peace in the world. So we must emphasize human security. Then we must help the global institutions to be independent. At times we just tell the United Nations what to do and they do it. It's not correct. Civil society activism is very, very important. Inclusive and participatory governance is what is called democracy, not just the basic tenets of American democracy implanted in one country and we say democracy. And then we need to promote sustainable peace-building education through innovative approaches to transforming the world. You know, we don't teach peace education in our schools. We rather go and recruit them to vigilantes. That is not good enough. Thank you very much.